Good morning, second grade, and welcome to our last week of KCS at home for this school year. Now, we are working to bring you some activities and videos for practicing over the summer. These are optional for you all to do if you would like. So, ask the adult in your home about these once these videos are finished, and maybe you'll get to see some people that you know on there as well. I have greatly enjoyed being your teacher during this time. Thank you for joining me. I hope you are ready and excited about third grade. I don't know why you wouldn't be. You all have some of the best teachers in second grade, and you all are doing a fabulous job. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. We are going to do a performance task. We are going to work through this, but like other things that we've done, there's several different answers or ways to get to your answer. So let's get started. Okay, let's look at our performance task and some of the skills that you have learned throughout second grade that we need to be able to do in order to complete this. So the first thing that we need to look at is being able to solve 1- and 2-step word problems. If you've been with me before, we've done this, and we have a strategy called a 3-read strategy that we use when we're beginning to solve this. We're also going to compare 3-digit numbers, add and subtract 3-digit numbers, as well as use a variety of strategies to solve this problem. So the next slide has our word problem. If you remember, the first read is just for us to read and understand what the problem is about. So let's read this. It says, last year, Jim's class picked up cans and bottles to recycle. They got 427 bottles and cans in all. Here is their goal for this year. Collect at least 100 more cans and bottles than last year. Collect at least 200 bottles. Collect at least 200 cans. Okay, so remember, when we read it the first time, we just want to read to see what the problem is about. So what is this problem about? What has Jim done? Or his class? Okay, very good. This is about cans and bottles to recycle. For our second read, remember we're going to read and look at the numbers and see what they mean. So read with me. Last year, Jim's class picked up cans and bottles to recycle. They got 427 bottles and cans in all. Here are their goals for this year. Collect at least 100 more cans and bottles than last year. Collect at least 200 bottles. Collect at least 200 cans. So I went ahead and wrote down my information just so I have it organized for myself. So last year, I know they collected 427 cans and bottles. Their goals for this year. Oh, I see that word at least all 3 times. At least 100 more than last year. At least 200 cans. At least 200 bottles. I wrote those down backwards from how they are on your screen and what our story says, but 200 cans and at least 200 bottles. Okay, so let's think. What do we know about this? What do we know about, we've got 427 from last year, but they want to collect at least 100 more. What does this word at least mean? Does it mean more than, less than? That's right. At least means it has to be at least 100. Could it be more though? It absolutely could. Could it be less than 100? No, we can't collect just 99 because that is less than 100. So I know I am looking for a number, there's my unknown, that is greater than 427, because I know it has to be more than last year, at least 100 more. So I'm going to go ahead and write my number is greater than 427. That way I kind of have some ideas in my head of what I need to do next. Okay, so remember on our third read, when we read, that's when we start to figure out, oh, what math operation do I need to do? Am I going to add or subtract? Am I going to do both? Which one do I need to do first? Because remember, one of our skills that we had to do for this is solve 1 and 2 step word problems. So there might be 2 steps to this. We might have to add first or subtract first, and then we might have to add. That's why we need to go back and read again, just to make sure we know what we're doing and understanding. Read with me. Last year, Jim's class picked up cans and bottles to recycle. They got 427 bottles and cans in all. Here are their goals for this year. Collect at least 100 more cans and bottles than last year. Collect at least 200 bottles. Collect at least 200 cans. Okay, so if I know that they need at least 100 more than last year, this goes back to what we've done previously. What you all did in second grade when you were in school and when you've been at home doing the KCS at home. We've added 10 more, 10 less, 100 more, 100 less. So here it says at least 100 more. So we know we have to have at least 100 more than last year. So do your mental math in your head. Think, what is 100 more than 427? That's right, the only digit that changed was the digit in our hundreds place because we added 100. So we know that their goal is to get at least 527 cans and bottles this year. Okay, there's one thing that we know. Can we just have 527 cans and no bottles? Let's go back and look at what our goals say. At least 200 cans and at least 200 bottles. So we know we have to have at least that many. So we can't just collect all cans. And Jim's class can't just collect all bottles. They have to collect at least 200 bottles and at least 200 cans. Now, I'm thinking, oh, well, what if they collect 200 cans and 200 bottles? 200 cans and 200 bottles, would that fit in? Let's see, what is 200 plus 200 more? If you know 2 plus 2, 2 plus 2 is 4, that's right. 200 plus 200 then is 400. I dropped my eraser in the floor, so I'm going to use my finger. Is 400 greater than 427? No, it's not, because if we compare our numbers in the hundreds, we have 4s, but not our number in the tens. No tens is not greater than 2 tens. So 400 won't work. So we know we're going to have to come up with some combinations. Are we allowed to collect more than 527? If it says at least 100 more. That's right. They could. You could come up with a combination that is 527 exactly. You could come up with a combination that's 528. What are some other numbers you could come up with? And I wish I could hear you. I hope you said a number out loud that is greater than or equal to 527. So if you have your papers with you, or if you're looking at them on the computer, here's what this says. First of all, it gives us our directions that says make a plan for reaching the goals. So you have to plan it out. Give the number of bottles and cans the class needs to collect. Tell why your numbers work. So it gives you some options. Make a tape diagram to show the number of bottles and cans the class needs, and then write your total. Here's an example of our tape diagram. Your number of bottles plus your number of cans gives you your total. And we have to remember our number line. 427 was last year's total, and we need at least 100 more than last year. There's one strategy you can use to solve your problem. Another one is to write a number sentence to show the total number of cans and bottles is at least 100 more than last year. So you have your total for this year minus your total for last year gives us how many more this year. And how many needs to be here? At least what? That's right, at least 100 more. And then, of course, we're going to write about it. So we have some sentence starters that you can use to help you tell why your numbers work. Because remember, that was part of our directions, is to explain why your numbers work based on the goals that the class had. So we have blank bottles and cans, blank greater than, the total number of bottles and cans. Okay, so those are just sentence starters. It's not a complete sentence, though. So you're going to have to add a little bit more to it. All right, here's your checklist that is also on your paper. Did you show all of your work? Oh, did you make sure your numbers fit the plan? So you'll have to go back and double check that it's 100 more than last year. Or it's at least 100 more. That you have at least 200 cans and at least 200 bottles. Then lastly, show why your numbers work. Okay, I'm going to give you some time to work yours out, and then I'm going to show you my thinking and what I came up with. I hope you took some time, pause this so that you could do the work on your own. I kind of forgot to tell you to pause it when I finished before. So I'm going to show you my example of what I did. And I have on the screen the goals because I wanted to make sure that my numbers worked according to the class goals. So first I used the tape diagram. And I knew that I had to have at least 527 because that meets my first goal. At least 100 more than last year. Since last year was 427 plus 100, I know that's 527. So I put my total as 527. I knew I had to have at least 200 cans and at least 200 bottles. So I just went ahead and did 200 bottles because I had to have at least that many. So I did 200 plus my unknown, so 200 bottles plus how many cans would equal 527 because I know 527 is my total. Or I could have done it 527 minus my 200 bottles. And I know in my head that if I have 527 and I take 200 away, I know 500 minus 200 would be 300. And then my 27, I'm only taking 200 away. So that gave me my 327 cans. I'm also going to show you how I would do this in a number sentence. Here I have my number sentence. And if you remember, we talked about it has to be at least 100 more than last year. So we said it has to be 527. It could be 528. So I picked an easy number for me so I could do my bottles and cans. I picked 600 because it would be a doubles, 300 cans, 300 bottles. Okay, and my number sentence from the example in your paper says this year, which I said was 600, minus last year's total number of cans, 427, equals how many more this year? My difference has to be at least 100 more looking at my goals. So if my goal is 100 more, I know I've met the goal of at least 200 cans because I have 300 and I have 300 bottles. I went ahead and wrote out my problem, and I'm going to work this because this is a tricky one because we have 600 and we're taking away 427. If I start in my ones, I don't have any ones. I can't take 7 away from nothing. So if I regroup, if I go and get a 10 to break it apart, there aren't 10s either. So I have to come all the way over. And I'm going to break my hundreds down. Okay, if I break my hundreds apart, I know that 500 plus 100 or 10 tens gives me 600. Now I can take a set of 10 from here. I can break my tens apart. So if I have 10 tens and I break one apart into ones, I'm going to have 9 tens left and a set of 10 ones. Now I can subtract. 10 minus 7 is 3. 90 minus 20 is 70. 500 minus 400 is 100. If I put all that back together in standard form, if I combine my hundreds, tens, and ones, 173. If I put that where my difference goes, does it meet the goal? Is 173 at least 100 more than last year? It sure is. Okay, this was a hard problem to subtract from. Okay, remember, yours could be anything so long as it gives us 100 more than last year and you have at least 200 cans, 200 bottles. There are so many different options you could come up with for your answer. So I hope that you might go and try to see if you can do another one. If you've already done one, try a second one. Maybe you did a number sentence the first time. Maybe try a tape diagram this time. Because we like to try different ways to work our problems. Stretches our brains some, helps us to understand how others are thinking as well. Thank you, second grade, for working so hard over these last weeks as you've been at home. I have greatly enjoyed working with you. I've heard from some of your teachers, some of your parents, and they have enjoyed you doing these things. I encourage you to continue working over the summer. Keep your math brain going and have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your week.